Back to my YouTube channel. So by the way, I just did my face. I was doing experiments on my face. I wanted to see if I could go through with the red eyebrow. Look at that. But yeah, so if you're a new person watching my video, welcome to You So Bad. Okay, so by the title of this video, you already know I'm gonna be telling you how I got suspended in my last year of high school. So that's like my grade 12 in Zambia, my 12th grade. Yeah, I was suspended. Yo, like, coming to think about it, I feel like now it was so pointless for them to actually suspend us, because for some people it didn't really make sense, and it's not something that was like a really big deal. But anyway, it was breaking of the rules, blah 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 blah, and the like. So the story goes, here's how the story goes, and this is how the story starts. I don't have anything to drink, so I'm just going to go ahead and just, you know, narrate what I can and put in what I remember. But yeah, so in high school, from like grade 10 to like grade 12, I was by NDOTECH Girls National Technical School, NDOTECH, for most of you guys know. If you're from NDOTECH, just comment down below and tell me what year you were there. But yeah, so that's why I went for high school. So, you know, with NDOTECH Girls, they had like strict, not even really strict rules, but they had like rules that were not really like, some of them didn't even make sense. They had things like, do not carry teens, do not carry jeans, you have to carry like 5 skirts or 5 dresses, it's up to you, you know, like those type of rules. Do not carry your phone, do not carry you know, kettle, but you could carry an iron. And then do not carry spices, do not carry just like these things, you know. And they'll tell you to bring crisps, they'll tell you to bring anything else, but other things like, you know. So in my last year of high school, like everything was okay. Grade 10, good girl. Grade 11, very good girl. Yes, I did bring like, you know, teens and here and there, and then, you know, I'm bringing some jeans for entertainment, because we used to have those like maybe on Saturdays sometimes if they feel like giving us, you know. So yeah, in the first term we closed schools, but grade 12s and grade 9s were expected to like remain behind for tuition and stuff, and we would pay for like the time that we stayed. So we would stay for 3 weeks when everybody else was going home. And yeah, so when you close, you're given an option to go home for like maybe 2 days, and then you come back for the 3 weeks of tuition. And then we had other people come in from other schools, like, you know, different types of schools, whether guys, whether girls. But guys were not like allowed to stay with us. They used to stay like, if you've got a relative by the school, maybe a teacher and something like that, then you would, I feel like I'm talking fast. Am I talking fast? But yeah, so you would stay there, right? So guys came, we came back. I think I had gone for like the weekend, then I came back. So when I got back, everybody else was also coming back. But then when you're from home, you could bring your phone and then you could give it to a teacher, so they should give you the time that you're actually supposed to be going back. So we all came back for the 3 weeks thing. We were even settling down. It was all good. Like, you know, people came in, we were laughing, you know, talking to my friends, you know, seeing new people. It was like a very nice experience. You're like, okay, that's your first time of tuition, and like, you know, you're like, no, let's do this, let's do that. We've never like experienced it, we're not going to go home. It was just like an excitement. So then my close friend, I had a close friend that was like used to stay in another hostel, right? And then her roommate, okay, like both of them were like, I could actually mention their names, but everybody else, I'm not going to mention their names. So I'll just be like, you know. So my close friend Natasha, right, had a roommate. They were roommates with Kafula and 2 other people, right? So Kafula came with a phone, but then the people that she was supposed to give the phone to did not come, and that teacher wasn't there that day, so she was supposed to submit, like handing the phone the following day, right? So that was done. So there was this girl. Anyway, wait. Okay, so yeah, that day she was like, okay, I was a prefect, by the way, like I was a prefect for like and then she came to me and she's like, you know what, this man hasn't yet come and I have my phone, but I'm gonna submit it tomorrow when he gets here, like the teacher. So I was like, no problem, as long as you submit it and stuff like that. I even brushed it off. I didn't go to their room to like call or use the phone. I didn't know what was going on, but yeah, I think they used their phone, they talked to whoever they were talking to. Then there was this girl, a friend of mine too, like we were close up because we were together, like, you know, no names mentioned. If you're watching this video, that's exactly how things went down and that's how we felt. So no hard feelings, we're all grown and stuff like that, right? So she, apparently my friends told me, apparently she went to their room and then noticed that there was a phone. And then I think the following day at like 4, the phone was still there, so they had like put the phone under their pillow. And this girl that found them that night went to tell the boarding master. So we had this boarding master, I'll call him Mr. M, right? So Mr. M just directly goes to the room and gets the phone from the exact spot where they hid it, right? So you're like, okay, this has happened. So now I'm coming from my room, you know, I was excited the following day, like, okay, I'm going to like have dinner and stuff. And that day what were we having? I think it was beans, and I was ready to like go smuggle beans out of the DH. And then he stops me and then he says, I'm so disappointed in you. Then I'm like, disappointed? What you mean? Like, what did I do? What, you know? He didn't say nothing and he left. So I met Kafula when going out and she's like, nah, this, you know, he's found my phone and stuff, and he's saying that it's an offense because I explained to him what had happened and I was supposed to hand that I didn't use it and stuff. But apparently it wasn't just one phone, there were 2 phones that were like gotten that day. Another one for another one belonged to somebody else, and then the previous night apparently people were actually using it, you know. So I forgot about it. I was like, it was running through my head. I couldn't even get my beans in peace. I was like panicking. I'm like, why did he say he's disappointed in me? Because, you know, I'm a prefect and stuff like that, so I don't even know what's happening. Then, you know, we go for prep. We had evening prep, which started like from 6 p.m. to like 8 p.m. So we go for prep and I'm studying in class, and then someone just comes to call me that Mr. Mombi is looking. I mentioned the name anyway. It doesn't matter. Mr. M is looking for you. I'm like, what did I do? So now everybody looks at me in class, and then I go where he was. I find teachers there. There were like so many teachers, and then they start asking me questions. They're like, how long did you know? Did you use the phone? Who did you call? So I'm like, I didn't call anybody. I only found out about that phone yesterday, and she explained to me saying she's gonna hand it in. And me being a prefect, I was like, okay, cool, you should hand it in and then let me know. She gave me her word. I wasn't supposed to like get the phone. If you found me with the phone, it would have been another whole like, you know, issue. Then they're like, that's a lie. This is what happened to other people. You're always dragged in because you're a prefect. You feel like, you know, they just decided like telling me things. I'm so disappointed. I really thought you were like, you know, responsible, but yet you're not. I'm sure this is not the first time these things have been happening and stuff like that. So I'm like, I was so confused. And you know, at that time I was actually scared. I was like shaking. So I'm like, okay, I didn't do this. Like, I didn't even use that phone. Check the phone and check if I called anybody. I could give you my parents' numbers, I could give you my friends' numbers so you compare and stuff like that. They're like, no, this is not over, we're just interviewing you. You know, you might lose your position as a prefect, you might go home, you might do all those things. I'm like, how did we escalate from, you know, talking about the phone to going home? I'm like, God. And then they're like, anyway, you can go. And then I wasn't the only person that called that night. They actually called the people that were involved. I think we were about 10 people at that point. So I went back to class, and then I'm like, I started studying, but I couldn't study. Nothing was actually even making sense. I was just looking at my book, and I got tired. So after class, I went rushing back and went to talk to my close friend, Kafula's roommate, my friend Natasha. I'm like, did you, like, you know, did they call you? What did they tell you? And stuff like that. So we started explaining the whole thing and how it happened and stuff like that. And they called her too. So my other close friends, like, I went to Taonga, Tutu, Jemima. I just went there, like, I started telling them, I'm like, you guys, like, if you did know about this, they're like calling everybody, like, whoever knows and whoever did what, like, names are being mentioned. So they started fearing that, like, you know, they also became a little bit scared and stuff. So that night passed, and mind you, I didn't pay for, like, the tuitions and stuff. I was supposed to pay the following day. So I'm like, nah, I'm not gonna pay. First, let me wait. So the following day, we got to class in the morning. Then there's this other man, Mr. B. That's what I'm gonna call him. Mr. B comes and then calls all of us, like, everybody involved, 10 people. We went to the library, right? And the library there, they came and then they started talking. They started saying, this is it for you, you're gonna go home. But then in the morning, before they called us, he was the one telling us, no, if you apologize, you won't go home, and this thing will just be buried. But then it's like, at that point, they wanted, like, the head to know what was going on. So they made it just a whole big deal, like it was just a phone, nothing more, right? So we go to the library, yeah, then he comes, he shouts at us, talks to us, like, tells us this and that, and then he produces this piece of paper. He's like, I want each and every person to put in their parents' number. Then I'm thinking, I'm like, you know, African parents do not understand. Even if you explain, you're not involved, you know what, it's just like, you did it, right? So I'm like, I'm not gonna put my dad's number, neither am I gonna put my mom's number. And then I call him by the side. I'm like, sir, my parents are in the village, like, they're not home, nobody's home, my sister is at school and she doesn't pick up phone calls. Then he looks at me, he's like, can you put the number? I'm like, is this what we're doing right now, you know? And then, you know, I decided to put my sister's number. I knew my sister wouldn't pick up, and then I left it. Then you know what they do to us? They lock the library and then leave us in there. It was cold. We would, like, sit there and look at ourselves, and then now we start thinking, like, what next? We're gonna go home. And then we were seated, like, on the floor in the library. Imagine how cold that place was, and being locked up the whole time, like you're actually in prison. Like, huh? Anyway, that happened. Then we started saying, well, like, we had food, like, you know, we had food in our trunks, we had different things. Well, like, we have to finish our food before we go home. So once it's lunchtime, if they open for us, we're gonna go. They didn't open for us that lunch break. They opened for us, like, later on. Then they're like, go to the hostels, get whatever you want, and come back to the library. So we're like, okay. So that's how we went to get all our food. Like, imagine 10 people bringing food together. We ate, we laughed. That point, it was like, nothing's going on. That day passed. We went to sleep. The following morning, that was like day 3. Let me just say day 3, right? So day 3, we're like, okay, maybe we're supposed to go to class. Then somebody tells us, no, you're supposed to go back to the library. So we go back to the library. They make us sit there, and then this our vice principal, Mr. D, that's what I'm gonna call him. So obvious. So for that, by NDOTECH, if you know, you know who I'm talking about at this point. So comes to the library and then starts telling us, yo, I'm so disappointed in you. You're a prefect, lead by example. You were actually 2 prefects at that point. The other girl, my friend, and I, right? So he said bad things about us, like we don't lead by example, we are the bad seed of I don't know whatever, of the prefect, whatever. He said whatever he was saying. And then he goes to the next person who had the second phone and then said, who are you calling? Tell me who you're calling. And she's like, my boyfriend. And then he's like, you're even telling your boyfriend, your parents know you have a boyfriend? And they were just looking like, okay. And then she's like, yes, my mom knows. Then he's like, you're lying. Your parents cannot allow you to have a boyfriend and give you the phone to come and talk to blah, 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 blah. I'm like, huh? Yo, these people are exaggerating it. Like, they were dragging it. Like, bro, relax. It's nothing big. Nobody killed nobody. Like, that's just exaggerating. So, anyway, that happens. That passes, right? So then he comes back, he's like, I'm gonna call your parents. And then that boy, I don't even know whatever he said. Like, we're just like, okay. At that point, we felt bad. And then it was like at break time at that point. Then we're like, we want to go for a break. Then he saw us, he's like, can you get back? You ever want to have break? What have you done to deserve the break that you want? I'm like, okay. So this is definitely bad. Like, it's bad at this point. So we're like, all right, this has happened. What's next? So we continue eating and stuff. And then in the afternoon that day, we did realize that now things are bad because our parents are gonna come. And then that particular afternoon, 2 people were going home. Out of the 10 people, 2 people were going home. And then we now realized that shit did hit the fan. Then people started crying in the library. Like, literally, like, you're scared, like you don't know the reaction your parents are going to give you, because even if you do explain, they will not believe you. They'll believe the teacher, just depending on which parent it is. So I'm like, bruh, I don't know if my dad had to come, because I don't know who they managed to reach, but they told me they had managed to reach somebody and he's gonna be there. So I'm like, if it's my dad, he's gonna drag my ass and put me in front of everybody and whoop me. So I'm like, I don't know. Yo, the first 2 people left and it was bad. We now realize, like, okay, we're in deep problems. And then this man comes and then he's like, if there's anybody that was involved, anybody else you know that has been doing these things, you rather tell us or you go home. Then we're like, we're not gonna snitch on nobody, right? And then we go and sleep and stuff like that. And that night we had to pack. But then that's when I personally realized, because I was alone in my room, realized that I was going home for something that I didn't do. I didn't use a phone, I didn't talk to nobody. I was just going home because I knew about it and they made a big deal of it. I cried. Like, I did cry that night. I'm like, God, please let it not be my dad, because if it's my dad, I'm dead. Like, literally dead. So, and now everybody now knows that there are 10 girls that are going home. You just know how story goes around high school, and now everybody knows the reason why I'm going home and stuff. So the next day comes, we're still in the library, then another parent comes. Now parents start coming, so now we start panicking, we start crying in there. It was a dramatic stage for everybody, because in the beginning it was like so unreal, but then it became real. I'm just like, okay, so I'm going home. Imagine you're in Dollar, you stay all the way in Lusaka. How are you gonna go? Your parents didn't plan for you to leave that place that time, and it was just bad. So luckily, that night before I left, I went and found myself now a phone that I could use to actually call my mom and explain what had happened. My mom did understand, and she didn't tell me who was coming, right? So, and the next day, my auntie did come, and then I was so relieved because it was my auntie, and I was like one of the last people to leave that place. Everybody left. Imagine, out of 10 people, 9 people did go, and I was the last person to go. So my auntie came, and then before leaving, you would have to go to like the principal's office. So we did go there, and then he started saying, this girl has been a good girl, I don't know what really friend influenced her and stuff like that. Now she's behaving different, she's doing what. I'm like, dude, I haven't even done nothing different, right? So my auntie, luckily, she supported me, and he was like, you say she's been a good girl, so what makes you think she did use that phone and stuff like that? So she talked to him, and then he was shocked by the response my auntie was giving. I was so relieved because I was crying in the office. I was literally crying. Like, I feel like my auntie felt my pain because she knew that I was going home for something that I did not do. So I'm like, okay, it's cool and stuff. So I packed my stuff and I left. So I went to my auntie's house in Dola. That's why I stayed for like a couple of days before they actually put me on a bus to go. Yeah, they put me on the bus to go back to Lusaka. So for that holiday tuition time, I did not spend time at school because I was suspended for the whole holiday tuition, like extra lessons there. And yeah, so I wasn't part of it. But me and my friend Natasha and I, like, yeah, attended tuition somewhere else back home, like back home and stuff. And yeah, so long story short, we went back to school, we opened, like the whole thing was done. And then you guess what, the first day of assembly, the two prefects that were there, they call our names and say, you're no longer prefects no more, this. So everybody that went home and didn't know about it knew that we were suspended and stuff. So long story short, that was literally how I got suspended in high school. And looking back, it was like, it didn't make no sense why I was suspended. Like, if you guys think I should have been, comment down below and tell me what you think. But if you're by NDOTECH, like if you're by Dollar Girls, you were by Dollar Girls and you're watching, tell me your experiences and what trouble you guys got in, because mine wasn't like, you know, at least if they caught me some to my spice or to my teens, but I didn't even do any of the things that they told me. At least those things I knew, that I used to smuggle food, I know I used to bring teens and stuff, but anything else, that wasn't me. So yeah, that's what happened to me, and that's how I got suspended. So yeah, anyway, without wasting much of your time, this is the end of the video. I love you guys so much, and thank you for listening to me. We're gonna be having more story times. It's just the beginning of the story time, and I love you guys. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below, and kisses.